because every single thing that we do, we really need to enjoy doing it. It starts with that. All of those things that our inner negative voice say to us, when we listen to that, it sucks out all our fun. And I'm Crystal McDaniel, and this is The Naked Singer. Hi everyone, I'm Crystal McDaniel, and this is The Naked Singer. Today we're going to continue with the subject matter of play. So last week we did Let's Play, and today we're continuing on with that particular subject matter. So I have 3 pages. You can hear the pages rattling, and if you're watching the video, then you can see them rattling on the video. I have 3 pages of notes on this that I set about talking about and writing things down on what can help us play and where the play goes and why it goes away and why we have to continually do things to recharge ourselves and make sure that we are playing all the time, so that as singers and performers we can tap into that and do the best job possible when we are on the stage or film or whatever it is that we're doing. So I want to start out with telling you what the definition was. So I Googled the word play, and this is what Google told me. The definition is to engage in an activity for enjoyment and recreation rather than for a serious practical purpose. I think that's part of what goes on within us, is that as we go along and we say to ourselves, okay, I want to sing as a career. I want to act as a career. I would like to be on Broadway, or I would like to be an entertainer. I think one of the things that happens is we start taking it too seriously, and we go into this really serious mindset about it, rather than looking at it for the joy that it has brought us from the very beginning. Because every single thing that we do, we really need to enjoy doing it. It starts with that. It starts with just that spark of creativity and us going with that idea and playing with it. And we did that a lot when we were children. So when we have fun and do things for recreation rather than for this serious product to happen, most of the time we end up with a better product, because the more childlike we can remain, the better off we are. You never want to lose your childlike creativity. You want to hang on to that inner child all the time and nurture that inner child. That is so important in the career of acting and singing, that we do that, because as children, we don't get up in front of people and perform and play in our costumes and do all those things and worry about what everybody out in the audience is thinking. We actually enjoy getting up and doing that, and enjoy having joy by doing something in front of them and doing something that we know that they are enjoying too. So that's the way we need to take a look at it. When we start to take singing and acting really, really seriously, we start taking lessons and we start going to acting classes. And there is nothing wrong with doing those things, as long as you're doing them with a teacher or a coach that gives you a nurturing environment and a safe environment in order to learn your craft, and can actually tell you the truth in a supportive way. And we call that constructive criticism. But the thing about it is this: the more we go along and the more we study and the more we hook into it and the more we hone our craft to get better and better and better, so that we can learn to make a living and make this a business for ourselves, the more we take the criticism in, and the more we start thinking about where we want to be instead of where we are now. So being there instead of here is very harmful to us, because when we tell ourselves, well, we're just not there yet, or we're never going to get there, or this work is just, I'm always being told what I need to fix instead of just being allowed to enjoy it. And the thing is that nobody can take that away from you. Nobody can make you not enjoy doing the work. They can't steal that from you. You have to bring that out within yourself instead of taking everything as a negative all the time. You've got to continually tap into the child within and remind yourself that when you were little, you enjoyed it, and you can continue enjoying it and continue to learn and get better and better and better at it, instead of to take the criticism and put it in to your heart and letting it discourage you. Because just because you need to fix something, or you need to get better at something, or you need to work at something, doesn't mean that you're bad at it and you will never make your goal. I think we need to take a large goal of wherever there is for you, and I think we need to break that down into small, achievable, bite-sized pieces that you can reach on a daily and weekly basis. And then actually make sure that you put some fun into it while you're doing it. I know that one of my students just this past week, she just lined up a bunch of stuffed animals and made them her audience and sang her piece to her audience and allowed herself to play like when she was a child. And because she did that, she really had a good time. And once you do that, then you can say, okay, well, I allowed myself to play for a second. What can I improve the next time I allow myself to play at that? So then you start breaking down your music into these little, 4 measure at a time things, and working at that, and then coming back and making sure that you put your stuffed animal audience up there again. Now, of course, eventually we've got to put the whole thing up on the stage, and we've got to do it in front of a live audience instead of just stuffed animals. But our concern cannot be about what the audience might think about us while we're up there performing. We cannot worry about their opinion. In fact, when we're up there performing, they don't need to exist. They need to be completely blocked out of your mind so that you can stay in the here and now, in the moment of where you're at. Most of the anxiety and fear that we get is because we're here right now in this moment, and we're thinking about there and how you want to be there instead of being here. But what about being present where you are right now? Because that's where you're going to find your joy. That's where you're going to find your peace. That's where you're going to find your happiness. And that's where you're going to find your support. You're going to find that in the here and now, not over there. And that is something that you've got to remember and think about. And if you're in a class or a voice lesson or whatever you're in to learn your craft, remember that when you're learning that constructive criticism, remember that they are on your side trying to help you. They are not trying to harm you. And it's when we start withdrawing and we start seeing that something is wrong and that we don't do everything right, that's when our joy starts being sucked away, and we start being down on ourselves in how we're actually doing things, instead of moving forward and going, okay, I can still do this. I can actually just go for it. Most of the time for me, I just tell myself, Crystal, you know what? This is something that you like to do. Just go out and just start doing it. Just do it. And when you do that, it jumpstarts you and you get out of your head and you just start actually doing the work. Our ego gets in the way so much. And when I'm talking about ego, I'm really talking about the thing within us that is fragile, that doesn't want to be criticized and doesn't want to hear that they need to fix anything, because we have this propensity to want to make everything perfect. And the fact is it's not going to be perfect. And nobody goes to a performance to watch perfection. People go to a performance to see something that's real and see something that they can emotionally attach to and get something out of. And they do it for an escape, but they don't actually expect perfection. So please remember that when you're out there and you make mistakes, it's not the end of the world. And everybody's opinion doesn't mean a thing. It really, in the end, doesn't mean a thing. And you can't allow that to stop you from doing something that you actually enjoy. That's something that you've got to think about, because most of the time you start thinking, I'm never going to get this right. I'm never going to get this right. I'm never going to get this right. Instead of just throw it out there, just throw it out there, just throw it out there and see what happens. You know, if we're splatter painting, we're not really that concerned about where that paint is going to land. And that's sort of the way we need to do with singing. Now, of course, we want to get things to where we're better and better and better at them. But the fact is that every performance we do, we improve on. If we're practicing in the things we need to practice at home and in the practice studio and in our practice rooms, we spend that time honing that craft, and then we put it out there. And where it's at the time you go out there, in the here and now, it's fine. It is absolutely fine. It's good enough. You need to take what you have and go out there and do what you can do in the best way that you can do it. And it may not be perfect. And that's fine. It is fine for things to be flawed. A lot of auditions that I have done, I have thought I've done terrible and I've got the job. And the ones I thought I got great, I didn't get the job. So you can't control what somebody thinks. And their egos and our egos are always present in that. And we have to sing from joy and not from our ego. Our ego is going to tell us that they don't want us. And if somebody gives us a tip or a piece of constructive criticism that we can take and actually use, and we get our feelings hurt, our ego says, see, you're never going to get it right. And the fact is that has nothing to do with what is actually going on. What you need to have always is the attitude of being ready to learn, being ready to do something, almost like when you were a little kid and your mom wanted to make brownies or cookies, and you were like, yeah, let's do that. Let's get in the kitchen and do that. You didn't worry about making a mess while you were making those things. You just stirred all that batter up and put it in the tray and then popped it in the oven and then started cleaning everything up. You don't worry about it. And that joy of putting it all together, that's what you need to have. You need to sing songs that are right for you and that you enjoy singing and that fit your personality and your style. And you have to think about those things, because you want to make sure that those are the things that you bring into your auditions, you bring into your concerts. You need to make sure that you love it first. And I also want to add in there that just because you love it doesn't mean you need to sing it. I said earlier that you need to make sure that it fits your personality and also your voice style, because there's a lot of things that I love, but I'm not going to sing it because it doesn't really fit my voice and who I am right now. So you have to have music that is presentable for right now, and trust your instinct as the musician. You need to make sure, if you're a songwriter, you need to go to songwriter groups and toss around ideas and get yourself involved in songwriting. You need to take classes on songwriting. And everything you do isn't going to be great, but at least you can take an idea that ended up being a bad idea and make it a great idea. Sometimes the best things we can do is work on the bad ideas and develop them into something great. Sometimes our great ideas aren't as great as we think they are. The famous choreographer, Martha Graham, she actually said that she had this whole dance choreographed that she thought was her best work. But when it was presented, the critics didn't say that it was her best work. They didn't like it so much. But when she was asked to do the choreography for the original Oklahoma by Rodgers and Hammerstein, she did the choreography for that. And the critics actually raved about it, and she didn't think that was her best work. So she took something that she didn't think was that great, and she just built something around it, and the critics actually loved it. So, you can't base great on what somebody says, or not great based on what everybody says. You have to just keep creating and put something out there. And the only way that you can do that is to go into that practice room and find joy in practicing. Find the things that you enjoy. Find the love for it in your practicing. The love for opening your throat. The love for dropping and breathing. The love for making sure that your posture is up. The love for breaking down the characters and understanding the emotional context in all of it, because everything you do is play. It's actually play. And you've got to make sure that you are finding that part in what you do, instead of looking at it as, well, I've got to do this again. And even if I do it, how am I going to know if I'm right or if I'm not right? It doesn't matter if you're right or not right. It matters if you're working on it. It matters if you're putting some effort into it. All of us know how to open our throat because all of us know how to yawn. Yawning is not that hard. And you got to think about how to yawn. And why don't you play at yawning while you're at it? So you really can make all kinds of funny voices when you're yawning and talking. See, I just played with that, and I spoke to you in a yawn. It sounded silly, but at the same time, that's how I sing a song, with that open throat. So I just make silly things out of it. And, releasing the tongue is the same way. All of these things can be actual play that you do and put fun into it, that make you laugh and put a smile on your face, instead of making everything so serious and perfect and being harsh on yourself and not being loving and kind and telling you you'll never do it, you're never going to make it. All of those things that our inner negative voice say to us, when we listen to that, it sucks out all our fun, and we have to continue to find a way to have fun. So I want to ask yourself a question. Where is there? If you want to be there, where is there? Because right now you're here. This is like one of those mall maps that we see when we're at the mall, and it shows all the whole outline of all the stores, and then it has a little arrow that says you are here. Well, right now we are here, and if you're listening, you are here listening to this podcast. Okay, so right now you are here, and you are wanting to be there. So I want you to get, you can put this on pause for a second, and I want you to get a pencil and a piece of paper, and I want you to write down where there is. And then once you write down where there is, I want you to also write down what you think a successful career will be for you. So I want you to describe what that looks like. I want you to describe on that paper, what does your apartment look like? What does your house look like? What does your car look like? What does your furniture look like? What type of money do you have in your bank account? what in the end will make you feel successful? What can you possibly do that in the end will make you feel successful? That's really important because each person has a different outlook and a different idea on what success is for them. And a lot of people talk to me about me being a successful voice teacher and a successful singer. And yes, there are things that I have done that have been successful and that are successful. However, I haven't met my level of success yet that I want to meet. So for me, I haven't achieved the success that I want to achieve yet. So I haven't gotten there yet, but I'm still here and I'm working every day to stay here and work on what I can work on today so my future self, when I'm there, thanks me for all the work that I did here. And then the next day, and then the next day, and then the next day. So I'm setting achievable goals every single day. So when I look at the there as the level of success, I know what that looks like, but I put it on a shelf and I try not to look at it a whole lot. And the reason I try not to look at that a whole lot is because I've had to break it down into, years, months, weeks, and days in order to be able to get to that level of success. And so I don't want to spend all of my time looking at there, because if I do, I won't be in the doing here. I'll be too busy trying to focus on there, and while I'm focusing on there, I'm missing all the opportunities I have now because I'm too worried about the fact that I'm not good enough now to get there. But you can't be good enough to get there unless you're doing something now. If you don't think you're ready for an audition, go do one anyway. Go do it anyway. Let me tell you, when I first started, I went to some auditions and did some crazy stuff, especially when I was a teenager. I drug my mom and my dad to auditions at different amusement parks, and I just wanted to be in a show. And I didn't know what I was doing. I had never had dance, and the training that I had came from watching the TV show Fame. So boy, I dressed the way they did, and I went in there the way they did, and I sang my song. And the people, they said thank you. And do you know that this girl didn't realize that thank you meant goodbye? We don't have anything for you. So I waited till all the auditions were over, even the callbacks, because I thought they might actually say something to me. But in that process, I got to see what the rest of the auditioners looked like and what they were having to go through. So I learned something. And I didn't feel bad because I was too ignorant to know that I didn't know what I was doing. But I had enough ignorance to not hold myself back. And I think that that's important, that we keep that childlike innocence going on within us so that we continue to march on. As long as you're learning and you're with a good teacher and you're with a good acting coach and you're working on that craft and you're continuing to do it, the only way you're really going to know is if you just start going to an audition or start putting recording out there, or going to your local coffee shop and asking for a time to sing and do that. Your local theaters are great sources and they're great training grounds. They always need people. They always do. And so going to those auditions and getting into those productions, that's a way to start. And I'll tell you a little trick. Sometimes professionals do local theater in between shows just to keep their resume filled in so they can maintain their work ethic going on and on and on, because when you're doing a resume, you want to show that you go from one show to this show to this show to this show. So doing those local theater things is a smart thing to do, and keep working towards the goal that you have, but work today for it. Don't wait a week, because then you've just lost a week towards your getting to what you see as success. So it's going to take you a week longer to get to that. That's something that you need to understand. And all this process can be fun. It actually can be really, really fun. You can make it miserable and worry about it all the time, or you can make it fun. You've got to make sure that you keep connected to activities that make you happy and bring you joy. For me, I like to swim. Swimming does that. Playing tennis does that. Hiking does that. Doing activities like that. I love to travel and learn and see things, and so I'm trying to make sure I am traveling more. I'm about to go to Hawaii. Yay me. I'll go to Hawaii next month. I'm so excited about that. And we're planning a trip to the Mediterranean next year to see Spain and Italy and France. So there's that on the horizon too. I always want to keep myself fed with the things that bring me great joy and enthusiasm, because if I can tap in to that part of myself, then I can also bring that joy into my music and into my performing and into my teaching. The more I laugh, the better off I am. Laughter is a great stress reliever, so don't forget to laugh. Don't forget to laugh at yourself. Don't take all of this stuff so seriously that when you mess up, you just cry and cry and cry. And it's okay to express your frustration, but then realize you need to laugh too, because it needs to be fun. And a lot of things can suck our joy out. And if we don't keep taking care of ourselves, and we don't keep putting ourselves in situations where we're finding ways to enjoy our life and be happy right now, regardless of whether we're actually there yet. We may not be, but at least we can enjoy the journey of getting there. And that is really important. These things keep me connected to my inner child, and that inner child likes to play. So we want to make sure that all of these things that we're feeding, and make sure that you do things that you enjoy that don't have any type of trauma attached to them. That's really important. If you've got some sort of traumatic memory that goes along with it, then that's probably not the thing that's going to bring you joy all the way around. So don't do it just because it's a habit. Go find something new. Find something that maybe you've never done before that you can learn to enjoy, because you want to do things that bring you peace and that you have good memories and good emotions attached to, because that way it helps you figure out how to apply that healthy environment into the work that you do, singing and performing. And that is really important. Don't worry so much. And it's easy to say that, but if we stay here in the now, we have all we need. Everything is taken care of. So when we're here and we're enjoying the now, then there's not going to be any concern about getting there. We just keep doing the work that gets us there. My best friend and I love to call and tell one another jokes, just so that we can have our moment of laughter. And I think that is probably one of my favorite things about Eugene, is that he makes me laugh. and he can take the seriousness out, because I tend to get really, really serious, and he tends to play more than I do. So he helps me to be able to tap into that little girl that loves to play. And that's something that I appreciate about our friendship. So we just try to find funny jokes or funny things that happen that we can toss back and forth and back and forth to one another. Remember that acting and singing is play. You're playing just like you did when you were little. So make sure that you allow yourself to do that. And if you say it enough, and you get it into your body and your DNA enough, then all of a sudden it stops being pretend and it starts being real, and you've built that character with emotions within you, but you've had fun doing it. So make sure that you understand that when you're dealing with a character, you're actually playing with that person until that person and you end up being joined together, so that you can just say all the stuff and have all the emotions, and have had a good time learning it, and breaking down the emotions and breaking down the thought processes of what they may be doing, or what they wouldn't do. All of that can be really, really fun in character development. And you get to create that. You get to come up with that whole world and that whole process. And so in that creativity, that should be fun, just like baking those cookies and putting those ingredients together. You need to look at it like that, so that you can really, really be here with the work that you're doing and have a good time doing it. That's highly important to us as singers and performers. We have to be about telling a great story. And if you look at children, they love to tell you their adventures. They love to tell you what they saw at school, what they learned at school, a story they had, what happened in a movie. So we have to learn to be great storytellers so that we can capture that audience. And the only way you do that is to make it exciting and fun and available and emotionally vulnerable to your audience, so that they can be a part of it. But really remember that it's not what they think that matters. It's what you do in the here and now that matters. Because they don't exist when you're on that stage. It's just you, and you're doing the job, and you get to enjoy doing the job. I mean, what is better than singing and putting on costumes, or getting ready to do a concert and you get to put on your t-shirt and your jeans, if you're a country singer, whatever. What is better than that energy and getting to do what you absolutely have loved playing it doing since you were teeny tiny? There is nothing better than that. So that's why you want to stay in the now, and you want to keep tapping into that child, and you want to allow the creativity to go through, and understand that you can do these things. It is possible for you to do it. And the criticism is there to help you. It is not there to harm you. And if it starts harming you, you need to find another place, because there are multiple places out there that can actually encourage you and build you up and give you constructive criticism, and that they will actually help you work your way through it. We are one of those studios. My studio is one of those studios. We actually have a practice coach on staff, and she helps the students practice and learn. And that is amazing, because we want you to get it. We don't want you to just go, oh, this is what you need to work on, bye. We want to be able to walk you through every part of that process, so that you understand what to do and you feel more confident when you're working on it on your own. So you want to find situations like that that are going to help you move forward in what you do. Children, don't worry about what others think. We cannot allow what somebody else thinks to get inside of us. And I'll just tell you, I'm the worst at this. I'm saying something that I have to work on every single day because I'm always concerned that I'm going to hurt somebody or about what they think. And I need to drop that. I'm just going to tell you that causes me more anxiety and stress than anything because I'm churning it over and over in my mind and taking responsibility where I don't need to take responsibility, and it really sucks the joy out of the child within. And I am working very hard on that to learn to just release it and release it and release it and be right here in the now and look for the joy, look for the harmony that I can live in, look for something beautiful that I can put my mind on. And that's something that we all need to work on and do. In the end, just play. Just sit down with your characters, sit down with your song, read through it, pay attention to what the words actually mean. Take a look at the story, take a look at the whole thing. You can find the videos, you can find clips, you can find synopsis on the songs and the stories. You can find the story behind the song if you're a pop singer or a country singer. You can find all those things. But make sure that you allow the child to help you be creative. Make it more like a craft or a sculpture or something you're planting outside, building a beautiful garden. Make it more like that than it is work, so that you feel like some boss is going to come and micromanage you. And the fact is that you're the boss that is micromanaging you. And you need to think about that. You need to be your own best friend rather than your own micromanager. And that is really an important thought for you to keep with yourself. Don't micromanage your own work. Accept that that's the work that you did today. And know that even though you're not there yet, you're closer to being there than you were before. You will get to the success that you want. I'm going to say that again. You will get to the success that you want as long as you don't quit and as long as you continue to maintain your joy. Be here. Do the work today. Make sure you do something fun every single day. Make sure you laugh every single day. Make sure you smile every single day. Get in there and help yourself. Encourage yourself. And maybe listen to this podcast so that I can encourage you a little bit too. All right. Remember that the Naked Singer podcast drops every single Monday on Apple Podcast and all your other favorite podcasts. Make sure that you listen, share, like, tag a friend, and comment. I would love to see what you have to say. If you've got any ideas for a podcast, just check it out. Check me out on Instagram at Naked Singer Blog. You can send me a private message and let me know. You can find me on TikTok at The Naked Singer. We have a Facebook page, The Naked Singer Blog. We're also on LinkedIn at The Naked Singer. So make sure that you find me, drop a private message, and let me know your ideas. I'm always up for looking for a great topic because I want to encourage everybody in their careers. But mainly, I'm focusing on young professional singers and performers. So I want to help you find that pathway to get to your success. Remember that I love you. And as always, I'm Crystal McDaniel, and this is The Naked Singer.